Your understanding of sciatica is very likely outdated and limited, which is probably why you're not getting the results you want fixing it. You see, most people think that sciatica is mostly this problem with a tight piriformis muscle, which is compressing the sciatic nerve and creating those sensations of numbness and tingling and pain all down the leg and through the low back. So they end up doing things like piriformis stretches, and it ends up helping for a couple of minutes, but the problem never actually gets fixed. And while there is certainly some degree of truth to the tight piriformis theory, it's not thorough enough to get the results that really matter for addressing sciatica in the long term. Let me explain why. Just like with all of my other content, I like to ask the question of, okay, we have a tight piriformis or tight muscle that's causing some problem, but why is that muscle tight in the first place? To understand this, let's appreciate that the sciatic nerve runs down through the lumbar spine and down into the pelvis and then down our leg. It is a giant nerve, and this really matters because that means it can be compressed at multiple different areas. I work with a lot of people who have sciatica, and a very common theme that I see is people that have a pelvis that is in an anterior pelvic tilt position. Nothing inherently wrong with this until we consider the fact that if this extension of the low back is significant enough, it is going to compress the lumbar spine vertebrae, and the sciatic nerve runs through that area, so you get compression at that location. Now, here's what's really important to consider. The body is very much concerned with making sure that we can stay upright against gravity. We're not falling too far forward or too far back. So what ends up happening is as that pelvis goes really far forward, the body senses this, and then it goes, oh, hold on, don't go too far forward. I need you to slow down a little bit, that forward progression of the pelvis. So muscles on the backside of the pelvis start to grip and tighten up, particularly muscles like the piriformis, but also muscles on the lower level of the backside of the pelvis. They're gripping here to prevent the pelvis from falling too far forward. So now you have compression in two areas. You have it at the lumbar spine, the low back, but you also have it down here because the pelvis is tilted so far forward, compressing the low back vertebrae. The body knows this, and it's trying to slow that forward progression of the pelvis by gripping at the piriformis and other muscles that are external rotators and deep in the pelvis on the back side. So yes, stretching out the piriformis and this area can feel good because you are relieving tension in that area. But as soon as you stand up and start walking again, you didn't fix the problem of your body and pelvis's center of gravity is being pushed forward, and you have this lower compression of your pelvis that you carry around with you all day long to manage your center of gravity and stand upright and move forward. The real solution is to teach our body how to open up and decompress this pelvis and learn how to push our center of gravity back, open up this space, and re-educate ourselves how to move through the world without this, what we call posterior lower compression or backside lower tight muscle strategy of our pelvis. Now, here's the most important part. In order to learn how to properly do this, to move through the world without a bunch of tightness in the backside of our pelvis and arching compression of the lumbar spine, we need to do something that a lot of people are missing. We need to create better opening of the backside of the pelvis, which is internal rotation of the pelvis and also subsequently the hip. If we can create genuine internal rotation, then we don't have to compensate to try to find it. Dumping the pelvis forward is a compensation to find internal rotation. So if we can create internal rotation in the presence of a neutral pelvis, this is very helpful. So we need to learn how to create IR, internal rotation, from the pelvis down to the floor through our feet, because the sciatic nerve runs all the way from our low back down through our legs. So we want to create genuine internal rotation all the way down without compensation. So I'm going to show you 3 different exercises. One is going to help us open up the backside of the pelvis, improve internal rotation capabilities of the hip. The second exercise is actually going to be a foot mobilization, because in order to express internal rotation from our hips down to our feet, we need to be able to put that internal rotation force into the ground through our feet. So I'm going to show you a way you can mobilize your foot to better put internal rotation force into the ground in a genuine way. And then finally, we're going to tie everything together by doing an exercise that will help us shift our center of gravity back, open up the backside of the pelvis, and overall just create better internal rotation. So it's sort of like an all-in-one exercise that's inclusive of all these different ideas that we need to fix sciatica in the long term. If this video and explanation is helping you understand sciatica in a way you haven't really considered before, it would mean a lot to me in the channel if you could ping that like button, but also don't forget to subscribe. Now, in the majority of cases, these 3 exercises should give you a noticeable effect on your sciatica symptoms that is positive, but everyone's a little bit different. So if you want the most thorough approach possible, then I would strongly recommend my Beginner Body Restoration program. Not only is it designed for anyone to be able to do, but it has simple exercises progressed over multiple phases and weeks that can be tailored to your own individual asymmetries as well. So you can check that out down below in the description because it helps with issues exactly like this. For this first one, the setup is key. So what we want to do is lay on our side, and we want to put the weight and pressure of the foam roller right here around the crease of the side of our pelvis right here. So we're going to try and find pressure exactly right here, because what this pressure is going to do is it's going to help push the pelvis in on that side to create better internal rotation mechanics. I like to start a little bit lower on my hip right here with my knee slightly bent, other knees like this, and I'm just gonna slightly roll up my body slowly, stopping at the point where I really feel the pressure of my body weight going down into that hip bone. And I can feel all the weight there. It's not on tissue or muscle, it's on that bone and on that ridge. So then I'm gonna make sure this knee right here is bent at about a 90-degree angle relative to my torso right here. And then I'm gonna take this foot and I'm going to bring it in very slightly, but keeping my knee in the same position. I'm going to stack my other foot on it exactly like this. So now I have still all that pressure going into the side, and I have this outer knee flat at all times. I'm always going to keep this knee down. Now here's the key. You want to make sure that you're rotating your torso and your leg on the top at the same exact cadence and speed, and it's very, very slow. To create a meaningful shape change to the pelvis, we want to go slow. This is not a fast thing. So to initiate this, what we're going to do is first just open up very slowly, painfully slowly. And we're going to stop at the point where if we went any further, we would lose pressure on that outer hip crease ridge, or the outside of this downside knee would be tempted to come off of the ground. And then you're going to very painfully slowly roll forward, maybe just like an inch per second. And you're going to get to the point where you can get all the way down, or you're going to lose that hip crease. Don't go to that point. And let's say you can go all the way down. You want to get this top knee very gently ahead of the bottom knee. And you want to hang out here for a second, feeling again the weight of your body sink into that foam roller. And then you're going to painfully slowly again open up, making sure you're really riding that hip, that ridge of the pelvis very slowly like this. Everything is opening at the same time, and then you're coming down again. There should be no muscular tension in your body really whatsoever. This is a mobilization. It is not an activation, strengthening, or anything else type of drill. For some people, you may be more comfortable just going very slightly further down with your knee like this, and that's okay. I just wouldn't go too far down. Now here's the foot mobilization. What you want to do is cross the leg over of the side that you want to work on. And what you want to do is make sure that your whole leg is relaxed as much as you can. And you're going to take, if my right leg is crossed over, I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to grip my foot like so. So that way it's across sort of like the bottom edge of the ball of my foot right here. And then I'm going to take my left hand and the palm of my hand and press it against my heel, the inside base of it like this, and then kind of grip the rest. So I have control over the heel bone right here like so. Now I'm going to start with my ankle relaxed, kind of toes slightly pointed away from me. And then I'm going to do a simultaneous motion of a couple of things. First, I'm going to pull the foot very slowly towards me. So it's going to be a motion like this, moving into dorsiflexion. Second, I'm going to take my top hand and twist it this way, clockwise. So that way I can feel my toes kind of do this and come up towards the ceiling, relatively speaking. The last thing I'm going to do is take my left hand and push it down, and I'm going to try and get the heel to move away from me like so. So it's this action where I'm pushing down with my left hand, heel away from me, pulling the toes up towards me, all the while trying to get my foot to come into more dorsiflexion, or my ankle to come into more dorsiflexion, if you will. So I'm pulling up and pushing down, and I'm trying to create this twist in my foot. If you kind of pay attention, what you'll notice is that your foot will be getting longer and your arch will kind of be flattening out. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is we're trying to emulate the mechanics of what happens as you move into internal rotation of your foot. Now, for some people, they're gonna feel better if they have more friction. So I recommend you get a couple of paper towels and you can do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna go here with my left hand pushing down, right hand is crossed over like this, and now I have more leverage. I feel way stronger doing this, but the key is balancing tension through your hands and creating the pull and the twist versus tension in your foot. You want your foot to be literally 100% relaxed. And this whole leg, honestly, should be 100% relaxed. If it's not, then you need to check in with yourself. Make sure you're staying nice and chill, and the tension in your body is really only coming from this twist through your arms and your torso and nothing else. Now we're gonna put all the pieces together. We're gonna express internal rotation to the hips, open up the backside of the pelvis, shift our center of gravity back, but also be able to effectively put that through the floor, through our feet. So what we're gonna do is grab that foam roller from earlier, and we're gonna put it pretty high in our groin, right about here, so that way our feet can still stay relatively straight ahead and hip width-ish apart. We're gonna find a table around the height of our hips, and we're gonna very gently bend our knee. Now it's key we find the right foot contacts on both feet here, evenly distributed. So we wanna feel about 60% of the weight in our feet in our heels. The other 40% is evenly spread, 20% each, between the base of the big toe right here and the base of the little toe right here. So you really just want to keep your whole foot relaxed on both sides, but that's where your weight is, relatively speaking. So now just very gently bend your knees and rest your hands on the table, keeping your elbows pretty straight, almost entirely locked out. Keep a neutral spine. So what you want to do is you want to make sure your back's not too far arched or too far rounded. You want it to be nice and neutral. Now, keeping your hands nice and rested on that table, you're going to slide them very gently forward as you push your hips back, kind of like you're forward folding at your torso. You're gonna reach a point where, keeping your knees very slightly bent, you're gonna start to feel the slightest stretch in the back of your glutes, right through here. And as soon as you feel that, you're gonna pause, you're gonna stop. You're gonna make sure that your spine is still in a neutral position. You're gonna make sure you still have 60% of your weight in your heels and 40% of your weight spread between the base of your little toe and the base of your big toe. Check in with yourself. Okay, do I have that stretch, and is my weight evenly distributed properly through my feet? Okay, if you got that, give that foam roller just a 2 out of 10 squeeze. Not a single bit more than that, just a 2 out of 10. Hang out here, breathe in through your nose, out through your nose, just relaxing and melting into this position, really feeling that stretch and the weight through those points of contact. If you want, you can go in through your nose, out through your mouth, but it should be extremely relaxed. No tension in your neck or low back should exist whatsoever. That's why we're easing our way into this. Now, after about 2 to 3 breaths in that position, you can go the slightest bit deeper, but again, never at the cost of feeling any tension in your neck or low back or flaring up any sciatica whatsoever. It should just be a stretch in the back of the hips. After that, re-squeeze the roller about a 2 out of 10 and just hang out here, feeling those foot contacts. And you can keep going down to the point where if you went any further, your back would start to round or your toes would lift off the ground. Something wouldn't be right. So for most people, they want to start nice and tall, very slight bend of the knees, and just find that first initial stretch. The more locked up you are and the worse your sciatica is, the less deep you're going to be able to go. You're going to stay relatively shallow to start. Over time, you can get deeper and deeper into it. But the most common mistake people make here is they lean too far back like this. They don't stay heavy over their midfoot, and they lose those points of contact in their feet. And that's what's going to aggravate your back or your sciatica. We don't want that. It's very gentle. I'd recommend doing these exercises every single day for a minimum of about 2 to 3 sets on that first one of about 10 rolls. The second one, the foot mobilization, I'd recommend about 2 to 3 sets of 15 reps. And on the last one, I'd recommend about 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 slow breath cycles. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.